Ted Cruz live from the floor of the Senate.
People get the same exceptions, the same
He's
benefits.
starting to get a little weary there as he enters, what is it now, his 19th hour?
His 18th hour.
18th hour.
He still looks pretty fresh, though.
He looks fresh, starting to hear it in his voice. He has been speaking on behalf of the continuing resolution that was brought forth from the House that eliminates funding for Obamacare but keeps the government funded at all other levels. He's trying to keep that bill alive. That's why he keeps speaking against all odds and against a lot of the support of the leadership of the Republican Party. One Republican who was there with him yesterday and helped him out was Republican David Vitter, senator from Louisiana, and he joins us now. Senator Vitter, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brian and Larry. Good to be with you.
You have a thing called the Vitter Amendment that suggests that members of Congress and their staffs should actually be in the Obamacare system and have to participate in the same way that the American citizens are participating in it. My understanding was that was part of the law when it was first passed, and then there were rumors and news reports that the administration had given some kind of waiver on that, but then I checked factcheck.org, and they're claiming that that's false. But please clear this up for me.
Sure, it was part of the original law, and then it was a classic example of what Nancy Pelosi said, we need to pass the law so we can figure out what's in it. Because after the fact, a lot of people on Capitol Hill read that provision and said, oh, you know what, we need to fix this because otherwise it sends all members of Congress and all congressional staff to the exchange with no fat subsidy, no particular help, only the same rules and the same regulations that would apply to the American people.
Yeah, us poor schleps out here who don't work for senators and congressmen, we don't get a big fat subsidy to help pay for our premiums that are going up because of Obamacare.
Exactly. And so that's when a lot of folks on Capitol Hill, both sides of the aisle, sadly, went into overdrive, lobbying the administration to, quote-unquote, fix this. And so in early August, they came out with a proposed rule that fixes it, quote-unquote, for Congress only. It doesn't fix Obamacare for America. It fixes Obamacare for Washington by giving members of Congress and staff who go to the exchange a huge subsidy, which no other American at that income level gets. No way, no how.
All right, so this debate that's going on right now, in fact, we'll pull it up a little bit so we can hear Ted Cruz. He's right.
Tolerable for us to endure it.
He's
it
still
should be
going
intolerable
strong
for the American people.
In hour number 18. And so here's my question, though. At the end of the day, what Ted Cruz would like would be for you to cast a vote that would be against a bill that, as it stands at that particular moment, would be for defunding Obamacare. It's sort of a strange procedural fight that's going on here, and doesn't that cloud the issue for the American people? Wasn't there a better way to go about it than the way it's going now?
Well, I don't know. We don't control procedure in the Senate. Harry Reid has most of the control, so we need to deal with what we're dealt, the cards we're dealt. I am voting no because we all know what's coming after that cloture vote, if cloture is invoked. Everybody knows, and Harry Reid will have already filed the amendments to strip out the defunding language, to strip out the full faith and credit language. So everybody will know what's coming, and that's why I'm voting no.
All right, but you knew that was going to happen before this all started.
Oh, we absolutely knew that Harry Reid would try that. Yeah.
So is it worth the fight, or was there a better strategy out there? Maybe one that delayed the implementation of Obamacare?
Yeah, I was pushing a strategy to go back to the no Washington exemption language. I pushed hard, as did some of my House friends, for the leadership to include the no Washington exemption language in the CR, along with defunding or a one-year delay. And then the message, I think, would have been better and more effective and would have been, look, one way or the other, we're going to demand that Washington is treated exactly like the rest of America. So either Washington loses its special exemption, special deal, or all of America gets a break or at least a one-year delay.
And I agree, that's a great strategy. How come that didn't evolve?
The leadership in the House wouldn't put our language in the bill, and I think, quite frankly, it's because it's a hit on members and senior staff. Yes, it is, and it's also in the law. It is the law. And so if we're true to our principles when we argue that President Obama is going beyond his legal authority with executive orders and administrative fiat moves and czars, we need to say he's doing exactly the same thing here to protect Washington from Obamacare.
Senator David Vitter is our guest, and Senator Vitter, you joined your colleague Senator Ted Cruz over the course of his 18-hour marathon session. So did your colleagues Mike Lee of Utah, Jeff Sessions of Alabama, Pat Roberts of Kansas, who's down there with him right now, Mike Enzi, Wyoming, James Inhofe, Oklahoma, Marco Rubio, Florida, and Rand Paul of Kentucky. A whole lot of other Republicans there are your colleagues. They raised money over the last 4 years, saying to their constituents that they were going to do whatever they can to stop Obamacare. Don't you think they should be down there as well, or what are they doing to stop Obamacare? Because I don't see anything.
Well, look, I'm voting no, so obviously I agree. They have some folks like John McCain have a very different view about tactics, and they want to sort of fight for another day and for the next election. I think we need to fight every step of the way, including here and now, including on this cloture vote. So I agree with what you're saying.
Could you also expand on, apparently there was an ethics question. There was a complaint against you that has been dismissed. You were victorious in this. Apparently there was some sort of charge that you had unduly sought to pressure other senators to kill a proposal?
No, that was actually my ethics complaint against Democratic senators who were trying
Thank you for clearing that up. I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out from the reporting.
Yeah, so last week when there was furious effort to block me from getting a vote on this no Washington exemption language, unnamed Democratic sources came out and said, oh, well, we're preparing another amendment to present if Vitter gets his vote. And one of those amendments would be that anybody who votes for the Vitter amendment loses their subsidy no matter what, even if the Vitter amendment doesn't pass.
So they're
they're
circling the wagons right now to protect the little subsidy that they get. And
Right.
Barbara Boxer, Senator from California, she chairs the ethics committee. Did you get a fair hearing?
It was dismissed out of hand with no investigation. They said, we're not looking into it, we're just dismissing it out of hand, even though this was fully reported in Politico. Politico said they saw the amendments that had been formally drafted in technical language and that this had been discussed at some length at the Thursday Democratic Senators' lunch.
Wow.
But apparently all of that evidence didn't matter. They just dismissed it out of hand.
Really quickly.
It does show exactly how threatened many, many members and senior staff are by this issue, because they know that it's the right thing, particularly in the eyes of the American people. They know if I get a vote, it's going to be very, very difficult to impossible to stop. And that's why the key is getting a vote. And that's why I'm going to keep fighting for that vote.
All right. Senator David Vitter, Louisiana, thank you so much for joining us this morning.